Thanks for joining my vlog today. This is my way to try to build a community to help us all live happier, healthier, more productive lives while in quarantine. This is day 7 for us here in quarantine. So I'll update the titles to demonstrate that. So I was a bit behind as I'm trying to figure out this whole vlogging thing. Today's video will be about my argument against social distancing. So I'm first going to go into that a little bit in depth, and then we'll have the top 10 list, which will be related. And hopefully we'll be able to learn something, be able to help each other, be able to support each other, improve our mental health, and live happier, healthier, more productive lives. So the whole world is talking about social distancing right now, which the idea of it is fantastic. The idea of ensuring that we have enough distance with any other individuals out there in order to reduce the amount of spread of coronavirus. Unfortunately, the idea of social distancing is not really the correct term. What we should be doing is physical distancing. And what I mean is that by labeling it social distancing, what people are possibly imagining is that we're trying to remove ourselves from others in order both physically, mentally, psychologically, etc. And that's not at all the idea. The first week that somebody is in quarantine, what you're going to be thinking about on the hierarchy of needs is that we want to ensure we have all our physical needs taken care of, that we're not developing any symptoms of coronavirus, no one else in our household is, that we're safe, that we have enough food to eat, that we have enough water, etc., and that we're not worrying about toilet paper running out, though that really isn't a necessity, as 2/3 of the world or something doesn't use toilet paper, but we think it is, and so for our safety and security and our mental health, we need these kind of things. In our second week, we're going to start building what's become our current reality into something that we can better live with. And I think after a week of not being able to see anybody else but those who you live with, and really unfortunately for anybody who lives alone at this point in time, because it'll be exceptionally difficult to reach out, the second week will be about trying to reconnect and ensure that those social connections are maintained, probably even more so while you're stuck inside than in your regular day-to-day life. And so I'm definitely not encouraging anybody to invite anybody over into their living space. If you think about it, whatever small network that you currently have while on quarantine, that just doubles by inviting one person over. It triples by inviting two people over. And that is because you might think you can control your connection with that person in your household, but you really can't. Anytime they wipe their nose accidentally or scratch their eye, put their hand anywhere on any surface, go to the bathroom, etc., you've suddenly had a very good chance of transmitting germs from one to the other. So I encourage everybody to just maintain your living space for only you and others who live in your living space. But that doesn't mean maybe in a park where you can maintain that social distance, where you don't have to come into any physical contact, where you don't even have to share a cigarette or a drink or something like that, where you might risk contamination, but keep your 2 meters distance, enjoy their company, make sure nobody's sneezing, and that's hopefully, a small enough risk that it might be worthwhile. Bringing anybody into your house is just not worth the risk. It's almost as if you may as well just give up. So I don't encourage you to do that. Also, and we're going to get into some ideas for practicing closer social connections in the weeks ahead, is it's about creating groups and support networks that are separate from this one perhaps. And I encourage you to think of those who might need this even more than yourself. So anybody who doesn't have a lot of friends, or anybody who lives alone, older or sick people, if you have any grandparents who are not allowed visitors, that's the case in many places with quarantine. In places where it's not, I would highly encourage it. These are the ones who probably even need those social connections more. So any of these ideas in the top 10 list, you can think of these people while trying to work some of these into your busy, healthy, happy, productive schedules while in quarantine. So, top 10 list of the week is entirely revolving around trying to build social networks while you're in quarantine. My girlfriend and I, we have a lot of connections, of course, during this week on quarantine, and my dog, of course, who gets a lot more cuddles now as he ever has. But it's important to build social connections outside of those who you're living with. Humans are social creatures. We need the mental stimulation, the emotional stimulation of having more connections in our lives than just your immediate family or roommates, etc. So the first suggestion is to maybe play board games online. This can include games that you play directly through a digital platform, chess, for instance, or others. There's probably every game available online, but you can also do it physically. I enjoyed the act of rolling a dice and the physical pieces, and you can set up with a camera your laptop has on your smartphone with somebody else in another house or apartment, a game that you play together but separately. This would especially be easy if you own the same game. We'll be setting up a game with some friends of ours of Pandemic, of course, because it's particularly relevant at the moment and it's a great game. And we'll each have our own board set up, and we'll just mirror what's happening in the other player's board game so that we can follow along and play the game as if we were all sitting in the same spot. You get the conversation element, you get to play the board game, you get the emotional, mental ties, and it's almost as good as sitting around the same table without being able to spread germs and spit and saliva and all those wonderful bodily fluids on each other. Second would be, and I apologize, yesterday I talked a bit about, or one of my top 10 was not watching Netflix. That's not what I really meant. One of my viewers, friends, pointed out that it's not really not watching Netflix that I'm trying to encourage. It's not binge watching. It's choosing other things to do with your time than just slowly becoming more depressed as you watch show after show after show and not living your life as fully as you can. But watching a TV show, a series, a movie, there's free Broadway plays that you can watch, there's going to a museum, these kind of things where you're entertaining yourself, but reach out to somebody, set up a time, and do it together. Text each other as you find something funny or witty, or if you're watching a TV show or a place in a movie that you find particularly sad, you might even have them on speakerphone or this kind of thing, and just connect while doing whatever entertainment online. This brings us to a third, which would be group chats. So there's a never-ending supply of different digital platforms. The most common ones would be Zoom, WhatsApp, FaceTime, Skype, where you can connect with others in a group setting where you're on a number of different paraphernalia, smartphones, computers, etc., and all connected into one conversation. What this allows you to do is have a very similar conversation as you would at home, but over the digital environment. So looking at any of those, they're all very easy to set up. Probably have most, if not all of those already connected if you're of the digital age. And if not, then you can download them all for free. Number 4 is learning. Learning came up in another one of our top 10s, but this time specifically sharing that learning with other people. So signing up for a course online with somebody else so that you're sharing at the same time, you're sharing tidbits, you're supporting each other is a great idea in order to both learn something, but also get the support you need and the social connections. There is such a huge variety of different things you can learn online these days, from the massive open online courses or MOOCs. All the top universities have these. There's Skillshare, there's Udemy, there's edX, there's Coursera. There's, of course, language learning that you can do online through Duolingo app or many others. Hiring somebody. I personally have a German teacher who's teaching me one-on-one, but over Skype at the moment, and that seems to be working very well. And we still, are telling the same jokes as we would in person, but not giving each other coronavirus. Cooking courses would be a great other one, or other skills you're thinking of. pretty much any skill you can learn online. And if you have a friend who's thinking the same thing, or you can convince, even better. I was doing a graduate certificate last year online, and the software that they had available for us in the online medium really helped build some solid friend groups, even though 10 out of the 12 weeks we spent apart from each other. So any of these ideas could work for you, both for learning and also for the social connection. Number 5 would be a book club. I don't see why book clubs necessarily have to meet in person, for sure, as most of your reading you're doing separately anyways. And then the discussion, you can use some of these earlier apps, etc., and form a book club with people online if you're already a member of one, or you could search one out. It's a good way to meet new people, because otherwise it's quite difficult when you can't meet them face to face. But set up your own book club and find some people who maybe want to share some good reads. Number 6 would be phone grandma. Everybody has a phone these days. If not a physical landline, which I don't even know if they still exist, but everybody has a smartphone or another way to just give grandma, grandpa a call, anybody else who might need the phone call, family, friends, etc. Pick up the phone, maybe set up a time ahead of time. If not, just pick up the phone and call 10 people on your top 10 connection list and give them a shout. People would appreciate it. Number 7 would be dinner or drinks. So this is something we've actually experimented with a couple of times already, where the two of us had dinner with another couple one time. One time we had drinks with like 7 or 8 other people, all on their individual screens. And with Zoom, whoever's speaking at the time, the camera goes to them. And so it's very similar to a normal conversation. If 2 people are speaking over, you can't follow it. And that's also very similar to a group conversation. And you can each pour yourself a drink. There's online services where you can order a drink or dinner in, and just enjoy the company of others like you would if you're all out together. Number 8 would be to set up some type of WhatsApp group or other, doesn't matter which media you use, but of people who are also in your similar position, teleworking, for instance, or family. I have both of these, and it's fun just to share a joke, ask a question, a problem you might be solving while teleworking about the various different connections, etc., what's going on in your country. And it's an easy way to stay connected and have those little side conversations that you might otherwise have in your workplace or with family members who you can't, or friends who you can't be around. Just a little, remarks and quick conversations while you're focused on your work or whatever else that you're up to while on quarantine. I do want to warn, though, about the dangers of social media. I think it's going to be one of the easiest ways that we all use to stay connected. But Facebook or these things where you're not necessarily actually connecting with somebody, but just reading about their lives, or YouTube or whatever, can actually be detrimental to your mental health if you're not building a two-way connection, if it's all just receiving information. Pinterest, Instagram are probably even worse for this, because unless you are building material or having conversations, for the most part, you're just taking from others. And if you're stuck inside your apartment and all you're seeing is everybody having wonderful lives in the past before they were on quarantine, it can actually make you feel disconnected. So make sure you're using the right type of social media to connect with others, building connections, building social connections. Number 9, similar to an earlier one, would be to take a fitness class online. This is less learning and more, having a daily part of your routine where you're doing yoga or a workout. I put up a yoga video online, but there are many teachers out there who are unable to do the regular courses in person and are now offering them digitally. A lot of people learning these skills at the same time as teaching the courses that you otherwise would in a gym with a group of people, hopefully set up in such a way where you can also chat with some of them afterwards, like you would during a fitness class when you're at the gym together in the locker room. And is a great way to get fit, improve your physical fitness, improve your mental fitness, and develop some social connections. Finally, YouTube. This is fantastic. I'm so glad I've gotten a few responses from people so far with only 2 videos up, and I'm really hoping that more people will feed in directly in YouTube so that we can build a community here online with each other. If you're enjoying this type of thing, you might possibly want to start your own vlog or blog, etc., where you also share some of your ideas. I would encourage anybody watching this to please do so below in the comments. Share any ideas. Love to hear from you. Love to have a two-way or three-way or four-way back and forth about all the challenges that we're facing and help support each other to live healthier, happier, more productive lives while in quarantine. See you tomorrow when we're going to discuss some activities that are a bit more creative and would also be a bit better maybe for those of you with children at home.